As I was pulling all the products out for this video, I realized just how polarizing e.l.f. as a brand is for me. Having fair skin, drugstore makeup can be hard to find, and e.l.f. specifically, like there's some products that I really love for fair skin and other products that I'm like, these turn me orange, avoid these. So I thought this would be super helpful to make a full face of e.l.f. We have a very big comprehensive amount of products here to share. I'm gonna tell you what works for fair skin and what to avoid so you don't end up wasting money, because even though it is affordable, there is some higher ticket items. So if you want to know all the details, keep watching. If you're not already subscribed, I'd love to have you. We're almost at 23,000 I think, so thank you so much for being here. Give it a like if you find it helpful at any point, and let me know what drugstore brand I should review next for pale skin. But let's get started. I'm refreshed. Let's get into this e.l.f. makeup. First, I have a primer from them, which you've probably heard of, which is their Power Grip Primer. Never been a fan of this type of primer. Did try this a while back. I'm pretty sure I'm allergic to this. I patch tested it on my hand and I do have a little bit of a rash. So I'm probably just gonna avoid this because I know I don't like it anyway. In terms of drugstore primers, it's just not my favorite, so I wanted to give that a mention. But moving on to the next product, which are sort of like glow products you can use under or over makeup. These are the Halo Glow liquid filters. I believe they have expanded the shades since I bought these, but can you believe this is the lightest shade that they released? Definitely too orange for me. I did also get a darker one when I first tried it to use sort of like a bronzer. Let's go in with the lightest shade, which is Fair. This has a really big doe foot applicator on it. I mean, she's orange. We don't love that, especially for a highlighter. It's just way too dark as an initial fair shade. And then this other one that I have is called Shade 3 Light Medium, which was more of like a bronzer for me. This one definitely has like a lot more peach tones in it. Are either of these great for me? No, I am sort of interested in trying one of the new lighter shades to see if it is light enough. I do have the Charlotte Tilbury one though. Let me apply this and then I'll talk about what I like about it and what I don't. I'm only gonna do a little bit because it is just not my shade. I'm just gonna blend this out with a brush. I think these kinds of products are nice if you have drier skin to give you illumination and even out the skin tone. I do have the Charlotte Tilbury one in the lightest shade. That one is definitely a better match. I like the glow that it gives my skin. It's not super dark because the pigment is more sheer, so like if I only use a little bit, it does work. So that's why I am interested in possibly trying another shade of this. I can just find that this extra layer of product, if you already have problems with texture on your skin or makeup getting cakey, adding another layer of like a creamy product might not just be the best for you. That's why I mentioned dry skin, it might be more well suited for. Like, I like it. It's pretty, right? Nothing crazy though. If you have tried the new lighter shades, be sure to comment below. I'm sure a lot of people would find that helpful, including me, if you find that they are lighter. I think these kinds of products are actually really pretty to wear on their own with a little bit of concealer as like a lighter coverage look. That's how I would use this one if it matched me a little bit better. But moving on, I have their corrector, the Camo Correctors to talk about. I have this in green, yellow, blue, and the peach shade. I guess I should have grabbed them. Hold on. We'll be using the peach and the green today. I'm going to be using this peach one as an under eye corrector. This one is a little bit dark in terms of peach. It just, you can see on my skin compared to like my Bobbi Brown corrector or like my Flower Beauty one or Pixie one. That's more of a light peach. This one is just a little bit dark and I have to usually use a lighter concealer to make it all work out. But if you are curious how these sort of compare in formula to the Camo concealers because they have the same name, I don't think they're at all similar. Camo concealers are a lot more thicker and full coverage. These are more of a thin, medium, lighter coverage corrector. I do really like this green one, by the way. If you have fair skin, you might have redness problems. Really recommend this one. I think this is a great affordable corrector. It's nothing crazy, like it's just a nice thin green minty product that blends out nicely. I just use this all over the face. I think for correctors, these are a great, easy to use product. Really recommend the green shade for fair skin. This one, just be aware, might be slightly dark if you are very fair. I might recommend the yellow one instead, depending on the tone of your under eye circles, but I also find like the yellow is brightening for me. But yeah, I would say these are nice. Blue is also a really good option if your foundations pull very warm, or yellow. If you mix the blue into it, it will cool it down. If you have a yellow based foundation, it will actually make it a little bit green, which would be great for olive undertones. I have done that trick many times before. Let's move on to our foundation options. First is the Camo Hydrating CC Cream. I have tried this and the original version. This is the shade Fair 100W. This is one of their like newer complexion products. This is the shade. I feel like e.l.f. does very nice fair like yellow shades. I'm not going to use this today because I am allergic to the chemical sunscreens in it, although I did test this when I first got it and I did not like the formula. It's already burning my hand. I don't like the formula. I feel like it sits heavy. That was my problem with the original. I thought the hydrating might be a little bit lighter. It's just heavy and cakey for being a CC cream, just like not my favorite formula at all. Feels quite makeup-y, so even if I wasn't allergic to it, still wouldn't be my favorite thing. So now you're probably wondering what I'm going to use for foundation instead. I want to use the powder foundation. This is the Camo Powder Foundation in Fair 140W, which again, they do very nice fair yellow shades. If that is your undertone, I find that they suit me better than like the neutral or cool tones. Because this is a powder though, we're gonna have to talk about the rest of the liquids first. So let's go ahead and talk about bronzers and contours. I have two products here. First, we have the Putty Bronzers. These are their little potted products. This is the shade Tan Lines, which is sort of the lightest shade they have, I believe. This is a really smooth, like silicone feeling type of bronzer. The shade isn't terrible for fair skin. It's definitely on the orange side, not my absolute favorite shade. Tons of other options I feel like that you're better off with, especially if you have fair skin. But since this is sheer, I feel like it's very workable. I like to put this on the back of my hand before I apply it, just for more even application. And I think these are like $3. Maybe they increased the price, but definitely affordable. So just taking this on my Luxie contouring brush, I'm gonna start buffing this into the skin. I'm gonna go light with the powder foundation because obviously we're doing a lot of work under it. I'm actually just going right into the product now. I forgot how sheer this is. With this way of applying with a brush, like it is so sheer, it really is nice and workable. This is like pretty decent for fair skin because I feel like you're not gonna get that super pigmented, super orange look, which may be very common at the drugstore. So maybe if you are looking for something that's a little bit more sheer, workable, or if you're like in a pinch and you just want like a cream bronzer, I mean, this works for sure. Is it the most luxurious feeling formula? Not really, but it does the job. I'm actually gonna layer this up even more because we are putting foundation on top and I want this to show through. So we're kind of doing some underpainting with this. For contour, I have the Halo Glow Beauty Wand contour version. This is the shade Fair Light. If you're familiar with my channel, you've probably heard me talk about this as one of my favorite contour products, period. And from e.l.f., one of my favorite products from e.l.f. for sure. They just nailed the shade of this contour. It's also nice and sheer. So if you have fair skin, like look how perfect that is. It's like a neutral stone color, looks so natural. It's not too cool of a shade where it's turning gray. It's not warm either. It's just perfection. I'm gonna use that same brush I used for the bronzer just to blend this out. It blends out beautifully, by the way. I think with fair skin, when you have these more sheer products, they actually work a lot better for our skin. They're easier to blend out. So don't always think of like, you know, a more sheer pigmentation as a bad thing, especially with contours. They just look really natural when it's not like full pigment. This is something I would typically do over foundation, but I think it works great as an underpainting contour as well for fair skin. Really highly recommend this product for the price. It's just so good. Like the shade, even compared to high-end products, one of my favorite formulas. It doesn't feel like anything. The shade is perfection, so check it out. I think you're gonna love it. Next up, we have concealers. I have both the Camo formulas to talk about. Didn't they come out with a like clickable concealer? I think I have that. So I have also tried their like pen concealer, but obviously I didn't like it a lot because it's gone from my collection, so I probably got rid of it. But let me talk about the two Camo formulas and then we'll swatch the shades as well. So we have the Hydrating Camo and we have the original Camo. I like the original Camo. It creases less on me, but if you have more dry skin, I think you might like the hydrating one better. This I feel like might be better for like if you just like a creamier concealer, but if you have problems with creasing, I would say go with the Camo, just original formula. Now let me swatch the shades I have. I do have a white shade in this Camo formula, but I don't think they sell it anymore, which is really unfortunate. I feel like every white product that comes to market ends up getting discontinued for some reason. This is the shade Fair Warm of the original Camo Concealer. Absolutely beautiful shade. The warmth in here isn't super yellow like a lot of the other e.l.f. shades may pull. This is just like a really beautiful, warmer, neutral shade. And then this one's slightly more peachy, which is called Light Ivory. You can definitely see the darkness in here. There's Light Ivory, we're getting deeper, a lot more peach. If you have very dark circles, you might like this one. But if you're just very fair like me and you like something that's brightening, I would say go with that lighter shade. And then we have the Camo Hydrating. This is Fair Warm, which is also the shade of this regular camo. So here's actually the comparison. This is the Hydrating Camo in Fair Warm, and this is the original Camo in Fair Warm. So the Camo regular version is actually a lot lighter than the hydrating one. I don't know if they have any lighter shades in this one in the hydrating version, but for today I'm going to use just the original Camo in Fair Warm. I feel like it's the best shade match for us right now. These are so pigmented, like you do not need a lot at all. Go in with my sponge. This does dry quickly, the original formula, so I'm just gonna go in and blend out. In terms of how I like these, by the way, I think the hydrating version on me does crease, but this original version, I feel like it can look cakey very easily. That's why I say don't use a lot of it, because only a little bit is very pigmented. It's nice and smoothing, it's matte. I don't feel like it creases a ton. I would say it's one of my favorite drugstore concealers for sure. If I like ran out of concealer or just needed one from the drugstore, I would probably pick this one out. I'm just mixing all those swatches on the back of my hand just for blemishes. I feel like with this underpainting we're gonna do, we don't really need a lot of powder foundation at all. See how like quickly that just erased my blemishes? Really good like full coverage face concealer too. Moving along to their blush formulas, I have 3 different ones here. First, let's start with the Putty Blush, which is sort of the sister product to the Putty Bronzer. This one is the shade, does not say on here, it is this cool pink, the one I thought would suit my skin the best. This is like basically the exact same formula as the Putty Bronzer. So it's like a creamy, silky matte cream. These aren't like oily or emollient creams at all. This is actually a really pretty shade. They definitely have like a matte, silky feel, so if you have oily skin, this actually might be the best formula for you. Next, I have the e.l.f. Monochromatic Multi-Sticks. These are super affordable. This is the Dazzling Peony shade. This has some shimmer in it. I actually really like this. This is a bit creamier feeling than the Putty Blush, but still has that similar like silky matte formula. Not very oily. This has such a pretty glow to it. I actually really like this cream blush. Has that perfect amount of shimmer, just blends over pores, and it's like a really smoothing formula. Then we have their newest addition, which are their liquid blushes. These are the Camo liquid blushes. I have 2 shades here. Let's start with the more peachy one, which is called Dusty Rose. These are like that full pigment kind of super trendy kind of blush, which for me, I don't know, they're not my favorite formulas. I don't really highly recommend them for fair skin either because they're so pigmented. Like you just need the smallest amount. I guess if you're going for like, how long can I use this product for? But I feel like there's definitely more flattering formulas for us. This pink shade, by the way, is Pinky Promise. Both of these I find just pull warm. Like even this hot pink pulls a little bit warm on me. You can see there's a lot more blue in this Putty Blush, I almost said flavor, shade. So yeah, these like, they're a good pigmented blush. Maybe if you want like a Rare Beauty dupe, they're nice. They're just not my personal favorite level of pigmentation. I actually really want to use this Putty Blush because the shade is gorgeous and it's calling to me. Actually just gonna start with a little bit of this with my fingers. Like I feel like it just goes on super smooth, nice and light feeling and pigmentation. For fair skin, I just poked my eyes so hard. For pigmentation levels, it's hard to find ones that work very well for fair skin, and I feel like this is one that doesn't pull dark and the undertone is really flattering and it's buildable, which I really look for in products is, can I control the pigment and how it looks on my skin, or is it just going to give me more issues when I'm applying it? I think the Putty line is really nice if you're just looking for smoothing properties because a lot of the products do have silicones in them, so they're going to sit nice and smooth on top of the skin. But if you do have problems with silicone products like breaking up or caking up on you, maybe avoid these. But I find because this blush and bronzer is in the cheek area, it doesn't really break up because it's not in my like danger zones. I don't know why I call that danger zone. Just where I get cake danger zone, I guess we could say. Yeah, where I get the most cakey, which is like right here. And then for highlight, I have another one of the Halo Glow products. This is the Highlight in Champagne. I love the Halo Glow contour, so I really wanted to love the highlight as well. it's just too dark on me. Like, you can see from the side how dark that would cast on my skin. Don't know they have new shades of these. I wish they just came out with like a white or purple shade. Maybe they do. I don't know. Like, they are nice and smooth. Beautiful formula, similar to the contour, but I just don't have a good shade for me, so it's not a favorite of mine. So we'll find something else to use down the road for a highlight. Let's talk about the powder formulas that they have to set the under eyes. Before we go in with the foundation, I have the Halo Glow setting powder. This is now in different packaging. I think it's pink to match the rest of the Halo collection. This is the lighter shade. This is a shimmery setting powder. Looks like it's a little bit yellow, but I don't find that this sets my makeup too dark. I don't know why I'm swatching this. You won't be able to see it. Actually, you kind of can see it. It's actually nice and light, and I don't find that it is like too yellow or dark. Like, it's not as dark as the Laura Mercier powder. Like I said, this is shimmery. This is beautiful if you like a slightly shimmery powder just to like add glow to the face. So for that reason, it's not my favorite for under eyes, but I think it is a really pretty, gorgeous, finely milled and smooth glowy powder. Then we also have the Perfect Finish HD powder, which is just this translucent white HD powder. I think this is actually a great option for fair skin because if it looks white, it means that it's truly translucent. To set the face, it is matte. It does not have shimmer in it. This does have a slightly like smoother consistency, like slightly thicker powder. You know, some powders, like a silk powder, is very thin. It has a little bit more body to it, so it also doesn't make it my favorite under eye setting powder, but we're gonna go ahead and use it for the under eyes today. I'm gonna make sure to smooth out that concealer and then setting with a Real Techniques setting brush. What I really like about e.l.f. products, by the way, is I don't believe they add fragrance. I know they have like a fragrance line, but for most of their complexion products, I don't believe they have very strong fragrances, which is good for sensitive skin. This powder really is like a beautiful smoothing powder from the drugstore. If I was looking for a pressed powder, I would definitely pick that one up. And then we finally hit the foundation point. This is the e.l.f. Camo Powder Foundation in Fair 140W. This is a little bit dark and a little bit yellow for me. This is a very yellow product, but if you have a lot of redness, this could be good for correcting redness. I'm going to take this on a big brush and then sort of work it into the brush because I just want a light layer of this. Since we do already have a lot of coverage on from that concealer and glow product, this does come with a sponge, by the way. This will give you super full coverage. I think this is a beautiful powder foundation, especially with all the new like higher end powder foundations coming out. I'm not a huge powder foundation person, so just having this one on hand honestly is like all I need. And although that shade does look dark and yellow on my face, I feel like it actually pulls quite nicely. And I think this looks beautiful and smoothing on the skin. Feels really lightweight. Also has that same like creamy consistency, and actually it wears well as long as I'm using it in a light layer. And then going back into the Halo Glow powder, I'm actually going to take a little bit of this and just pop this on my highlight points. It's not going to give you like a very shimmery highlight, but it is just going to reflect light a little bit more than that matte powder foundation. Onto our brow product, I have the e.l.f. Instant Brow Pencil here. This is a pretty thick brow pencil for what's like out there nowadays at the drugstore, but I actually find that this blonde shade works really well. This is called Blonde Not Taupe, I believe. So I was actually like a little bit worried that it would be warm. I don't feel like it's warm at all. It's definitely more of like a taupey color. This is a very waxy formula, which I honestly don't mind because I feel like it makes filling in your brows really quick and easy. So if you're not super picky about like the thickness of your brow pencil, for the price, this one is dang good. And I also, for them to have like a good shade for blonde brows is pretty rare. I mean, just at the drugstore. So this one is a go-to for sure. If I was missing a brow pencil and I needed one, I would probably pick this one up. I actually love how this makes my brows look. If you're like a novice at brows or you feel like you're not very good at them, this actually works so good because it's not super pigmented or stiff because it is more waxy. It like moves a little bit better throughout your brows. So if you apply it and then just use the brush, it sort of disperses the color very evenly, so you're not like feeling like you overdrew them. Honestly, such a good formula. I would say this is one of my quickest brow pencils too, because I can do my brows in like 20 seconds with this, like I just did. Usually with the micro ones, I'm spending a little bit more time shaping them and getting like the hair strokes, but this one's just like boom, done. For setting the brows, I do have the brow lift here. This was clear when I got it and now it's white. I don't really know. I think I have a matching brush for this, which has a little spatula at the end. This is one of those like brow freeze products that you're supposed to like basically glue your brows to your skin, which is not my favorite. Let's use a little bit of this. I don't even know how I'm gonna apply this. I'm gonna use the end of the brow pencil and just get a little bit on here. I don't want too much. This definitely, oh my god, that was too much. I don't want too much. This is definitely not one of my favorite brow gels. Just these types of brow gels in general, not my favorite. I know they did just come out with a like laminating brow product. I'm curious to see if it's good. I don't know, I didn't really like this gel, so I'm a little hesitant, but I do like the brow pencil. Also, here's an interesting question. Do you think e.l.f. was better before they started like duping everything, or after? Do you like the dupes? Let me know below. I mean, it's nice to have like more affordable options, but I do still like some maybe individuality in my brand sometimes. I feel like now they've just been like launch after launch just being a dupe brand. See, I like my brows and that gel kind of ruined it. It's just like really thick feeling, which I do not like. All right, on to their eyeshadows. I have also tried the Putty eye primer in white, by the way, which I don't remember being my favorite thing. For eye primers, I really like the Ulta eye primer. It's more affordable and I feel like works a lot better. It's more of like a liquid formula. But onto eyeshadow, I have their bite-size eyeshadows here. I have a full video on these, comparing them actually to Charlotte Tilbury palettes. Kind of an older video, but yeah, I have a bunch of these here from that video. This is a blue one. I see Asayu. This is Berry Bad, which is a really pretty maroon shade. We have this like natural warmer color, Pumpkin Pie. This one with a pop blue is called Carnival Candy. They also have this green one called Hot Jalapeno. I would probably naturally gravitate towards this more pink one. Oh, I remember this one not being that great though. I think this blue one is not super pigmented. I mean, in general, none of these are very pigmented, but it's like really obvious with a blue shadow. So maybe let's just go in with this more neutral bronzy version. I'm gonna take this light warm brown and buff it in. I don't know if they have released any new colorways of this. Just as they are, I mean, if you like need eyeshadow immediately, it might be a good purchase. But I feel like if you're just gonna spend a little bit more, just get a ColourPop palette. I know that they do sell those at Target now. You're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck there and like a lot better shade selection. This is having a hard time blending, so I'm going into the Carnival Candy one because it has this lighter peach shade. I think the problem with a lot of these like drugstore brands or just like these in general is the inconsistency of the quality. Like one of these might be good, the colorways, but like the blue one that I tried, not as good. Actually, thinking of drugstore eyeshadows, the CoverGirl palettes, those are really good. The like 5-pan palettes, those are super creamy, nice and blendable mattes. If I was going drugstore eyeshadow, I would probably go there, and they have a lot of pretty like more purpley neutral cool tones. At least that's helping the blend. If I do remember correctly though, the shimmers in these are actually a lot nicer than the mattes. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Take a little bit of this bronzy one from the palette, this warmer palette here. Pumpkin Pie one, I think. Yeah, these metallics actually, it's making me eat my words a little bit about the quality of these. Like the metallics are nice. I think you might just have a little bit of more difficulty with the mattes if you're not a pro at blending, but that looks good. That's pretty. And then let's take this slightly more golden color. For more of a smoky liner, I'm gonna take this deep brown, sort of pack it on a little brush and attempt to do a little bit like a winged shape. So I guess in general, these shadows for fair skin can be quite nice because they're not super pigmented. And I think the metallics are nice and pretty and workable. I do not have any eyeliners or mascaras from e.l.f. I'm not sure about eyeliners, what I've tried. I don't remember really trying any, but I know with e.l.f. mascaras, every time I try one, I'm disappointed in it, so I've just stopped buying them, and I always just buy the Maybelline mascara anyway. This is the Sky High in brown, so we're gonna use this. But if you tried any mascaras from e.l.f. that you like, let me know. I don't remember the last one I tried, but I just remember that it smudged and flaked and just didn't look that good, so why would I buy it again? I also have this shadow stick from e.l.f. My brows keep falling down. I feel like that brow gel literally makes my brows fall more than if I didn't have it in there. It's just really heavy. Anyway, I do have another shadow from e.l.f. These are their No Budge shadow sticks. This is the light shade Perfect Pearl. As an eyeshadow stick, like it's pretty decent. Usually with a stick eyeshadow, you know, you're gonna get that nice smooth pearl, not like super metallic. Look how dark that highlight dried. so orange. So I'm just gonna do a little bit on the inner corner. As an eyeshadow stick at the drugstore, I think it's nice. I wonder if they have any like lighter pearly shades that would be really pretty for like the inner corner, because this one's like, it's a champagne but still not quite as light as I would like it. So I guess depends on what kind of shade you want to get. Let's move on to lip liners, lip colors, lip glosses. First I have the lip liner. This is the Fill Frontal one from, ow, I poked my hand so hard on this by accident. But anyway, this is from the Jennifer Coolidge e.l.f. collab, but they do have lip liners that I think are the same formula. I think the shade is Fill Frontal, but this is the cream gel lip liner. I actually love this shade. I love this formula. It's creamy, it's smooth. Couldn't really ask for anything better. Not the most long lasting because it is a creamier lip liner, like reminds me of the ColourPop formula, versus like a NYX lip liner from the drugstore. Those are a bit more stiff, so you do have more wear with them. I feel like this is one of those colors that like almost verges on being warm, but it's actually a really pretty like contour neutral. I hope they still have this shade or like something similar. I'll try to find something similar if they don't. But next, let's talk about the lip products I have. These are the Sheer Slicks little lipsticks. I have 2 shades here. Now I bought these before I realized that like warm tone lipsticks just look pretty bad on me most of the time. The first shade is Grapefruit, and then this one is Golden Pear, which is more of like a warm spice. Both of these are just not my favorite shades. I just didn't pick out very good shades. But in terms of formulas, I think they're really pretty. I feel like they're not as sheer as the name suggests. They could definitely be sheared out, but they're just a really creamy lipstick. This pink shade, Sheared Out Grapefruit, I think does work for me. But I did want to mention the lipstick as well. This is just called like their, I don't know, matte lipstick. I got this as a shade to like put on the center of the lips because it's so light. It's called Cream, and it's definitely warmer than I was expecting. Online it did not look this warm. Story of my life. But I think this is still really nice. Just on the center of the lip, especially if you have fair skin, you feel like you want to lighten a lot of your lipsticks. Like this with the lip liner was actually a really pretty combo. And then we have their glosses. I actually love their glosses. This is the Jennifer Coolidge collab Swollen. Same formula as this, it's just that limited shade, but they do have like a milky pink that's similar. I love the shade. It's like a pretty milky pink with a little bit of shimmer in it. It's the time in the video where I'm totally out of swatch space. There it is on my finger. It's quite sheer, so you can't really see it that much, but I do have a bit more of a pigmented one. Again, the lip plumping gloss, this is what it usually looks like, and this is the shade Sparkling Rosé. I do have some other really pretty shimmer options. This is a gorgeous like cool toned pinky rose. I think the glosses have more cool tone options than like this sort of brighter product. Should I go purple? Let's do a little bit of both actually. Do a little bit of rosé. So pretty. And then a little bit of this lighter pink. They're definitely like a stickier gloss, like not super sticky though. They just feel a little bit thicker on the lips, which I personally like. But if you only like really thin lip products, maybe avoid these. But I think for drugstore lip glosses, they're actually really gorgeous. Voila, look is complete. I hope you found this really helpful for products to avoid and maybe some products to check out. If you have fair skin, similar skin tone to mine, and you're looking for those good affordable products from the drugstore that will not make you orange or pull too dark. We went over everything, so I do hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to give it a like if you did and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll have another video on the screen here so we can keep hanging out. Don't leave me quite yet. I will see you over there. Bye.